part 2 of what was wrong with my baby. So, after a very long weekend of praying and crying and wondering what in the world they could have seen that was so wrong, they finally set me up an appointment, and it was still another couple of weeks away. And that really sucked because I needed answers, and I needed answers right then. We finally had our appointment up at UAMS in Arkansas, and they did a 3-hour ultrasound on me, and which I fell asleep at. I think the stress had worn me out so much that I just could not stay awake any longer. I couldn't process hardly what was happening. But they looked at every square inch of my child, inside and outside, measured everything, took a ton of pictures, which, by the way, is the one and only perk of being a high-risk pregnancy, is you get a lot of ultrasounds. And I would not wish to have a high pregnancy just to get a lot of ultrasounds, but if there's a perk, that's one. After 3 very long hours, we had a genetics counselor come in and explain to us that my baby had something called Dandy Walker syndrome. Now, I had never heard of this. They said it was actually pretty rare, and they informed me that her cerebellum was underdeveloped, which is the back of the brain, the bottom back of the brain. She had no vermis, which was, how they explained it to me, was some nerve and tissue that connected the hemispheres together, and it gives you your ability to walk and talk, breathe, and eat, like just different things like that. And that there was none there. They informed me that she could have Down syndrome. She could have trisomy 13. She could have just a whole host of things that were not in her favor. They also advised that I go ahead and terminate the pregnancy now. Then, I was probably 20 something weeks along, and start over. Yes, you heard that right. To start over. They explained that there was nothing hereditary or genetic about it, that it was just a fluke, and that if we go ahead and terminate our pregnancy now, we could still try, within like a year or whatever, and all would be well, and we would just have a normal child. When I asked for them to explain to me what in the world is Dandy Walker syndrome, what are the problems, what are the, all of the things, like what does this mean for her quality of life, what does this mean? They explained to me that she would have hydrocephalus, which is fluid buildup in the fourth ventricle of the brain. It's a chamber in the brain, which causes the head to be abnormally large. And most of the time when you have hydrocephalus, at least to a degree, you have to have a shunt placed, and that shunt drains all of the fluid back into the body. And they explained to me that because she had this, that she would have seizures all of her life. They explained to me that she would never be able to walk, she would never be able to talk. They told me that she would be a vegetable all of her life, and that the smart decision would be for me to terminate. Now, before I go any further, no matter your stance on abortion, whether you believe in it, whether you believe it's right, wrong, a woman's choice, not a woman's choice, that does not matter. Now, my opinion is it's murder. and that it's not my choice because that's not my body. That is my child's body in there. I am not God. I do not play God. However, I'm not going to sit here and judge you because that's not my place. But whatever your stance is, what it boils down to is healthcare and doctors should not be judgmental of you because you go against their wishes on something like this. Because what happened was the doctors were extremely upset with us when we said, it doesn't matter what you tell us. We are not going to end this child's life. This is our baby. They were very, I'm trying to think of the best way to put it. Honestly, they were just very snippy with us. And no, this isn't going to get better. You should have just terminated this and, tried again. And, like I said, no matter your stance on abortion, healthcare should not be like that. That to me is a very unethical thing to do. So we had a series of appointments in Little Rock, which was 2 hours away. I was having to miss a lot of work. We had 2 appointments a week on top of other things here locally where I live. Just different testing and blood work and all kinds of stuff that it really wore on our nerves. They also told me that she would not be able to regulate her own body temperature. She would not be able to do anything. She wouldn't be able to eat. She would have to have a feeding tube. And this was all if she even made it out of the womb. This was not, hey, this is how it's going to be. This was if she even makes it alive. When you give birth to her, she's not going to make it. Like, that is you might as well start planning her funeral. So we prayed. We didn't know what else to do. We knew that we were not giving up on our child, and we knew that we were not going to make that choice to terminate our pregnancy when it was a person telling us this, and when we felt like God had the final say in a child's life. We were told that she was going to have all kinds of issues, and honestly, it terrified us. We were very scared of what we could be dealing with, about how long she would make it, if she even made it at all. And our nurses and therapists and counselors at this hospital basically told us that she was going to be a burden. And I think what the final straw was when she looked at me and said, you are going to have to be taking care of this baby for the rest of your life. She's not going to be able to do anything for herself. And I looked at her and I said, is that not my job? I am her mother. That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm supposed to do. That's my duty. I'm her mother. Whether she lives for a day or 10 days or 80 years, it doesn't matter. Until I take my last breath, I will fight for her and her health and everything else. She will be loved and cared for in the best way that I know. Part 3 will be coming up soon. Thank you guys for watching.